do you think like a mixed race person, right?
Right.
However, I think culturally in America, you're considered black. Do you think do you think that's how people perceive you, and is that how you perceive yourself?
I do not consider myself a black woman. Absolutely not.
What do you consider yourself?
Biracial.
What's going on, family? This is your brother King Cam, and welcome to another episode of Shifting the Culture podcast. And what I need everybody to do is, as you come in, family, let me know what city and state you are checking in from. Now, as you saw in that video, Amber Rose said that she identifies as biracial and not as a black woman. So tonight on Shifting the Culture, we want to address the condition and state of affairs that America is in. There is so much in the news cycle these days that it's hard to keep up. However, one thing I am noticing is the separation taking place. Now, I know to some of us, separation is a bad thing. It's a buzzword that has haunted us since slavery, then Reconstruction, then Jim Crow and black codes, and all the way up to the civil rights era. But that's segregation, not separation. And the separation I'm talking about right now is the mindset. The dawn of a new day and a new people. And the fall of an old mind with those who still want to hold on to it. So family, let's get into it tonight. Let's tap in.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
You know. Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still wanna think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like...
All right, family. So as I opened up, bro, you know, we was able to hear that video from Amber Rose. We was able to see where she stood, and you know, we're gonna look at you know, some of the things that she's been doing lately. But then also we're going to talk about America. We're gonna talk about the current condition, the state of affairs that's happening and taking place in the country right now. We're going to see, you know, what is really, really happening here. All right, family. So go ahead and put your seatbelts on. Let's get ready to go ahead and tap in. So first, let's deal with this. Okay. Now, Amber Rose was recently at the RNC, which is the Republican National Convention, supporting the former president. Okay. And a lot of people had a problem with that. A lot of people on the left got a problem with that. All right. So, yeah. So a lot of people got an issue with Amber Rose and, you know, the things that she was saying in her support of the Republican National Convention. So, obviously, now you got people that's coming out and giving Amber Rose a problem, you know, for the things that she said. So, Amber Rose retweeted or tweeted out, you know, response to the backlash that she was getting from Joanne Reed and some others that watched her at the Republican National Convention. So in this tweet, Amber Rose says, "Hey, Joy Ann Reed, I've never said I wasn't black. I said I identify as biracial. I'm not going to, I guess she meant to say invalidate my white father to make you feel more comfortable. Stop being a race baiter. Your president does that enough. So that's what Amber Rose said. Okay. And we heard what she said in the video clip, that she doesn't call herself a black woman. She calls herself or considers herself to be biracial. Let's take a listen at that clip again so we can hear what Amber said actually.
Black. Do you think like a mixed race person, right?
Right.
However, I think culturally in America, you're considered black. Do you think that's how people perceive you, and is that how you perceive yourself?
I do not consider myself a black woman. Absolutely not.
What do you consider yourself?
Biracial.
All right. So you heard what Amber Rose said. I do not consider myself a black woman. I consider myself biracial. I do not consider myself a black woman. I consider myself biracial. Her reasoning behind that was because, was because of her father being white. Okay. So you have that. And then, hold on. What is going on here? Let's see if I can switch these. Okay. So my overlays. Yeah, people saying self-hate. People saying self-hate. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull my overlay back up, and it's not giving me my original overlay. That's why I'm not coming out saying what I was continuing what I was talking about. Hold on a second, family. There we go. All right. So as you can see, Amber Rose says she doesn't identify as a black woman. All right. So what we see Joy Ann Reid saying essentially that because Amber Rose is not embracing her blackness, this is what is allowing her to support the former president. Okay. And we're not going to get into the former president necessarily. We keeping it right on Joy Ann Reid, Amber Rose, and this mindset. Because even when you watch some of the more liberal pundits, the more liberal political commentators such as Simone Sanders, if you watch The View is considerably or majority liberal thinking with Whoopi Goldberg and some of the other hosts on The View. Their whole perspective is that we don't want to elect this type of person going into the White House. We don't want to elect President Trump. And then you have a section of the population who are saying we want President Trump, and the other section is saying we want President Biden. Okay. So what I'm leaning into is the mindset of the different people. Because you also have a section of the population who are saying we don't want any of them because none of them up to this point have said what they're willing to do to make black people in America. What's the term I'm looking for? To help fix the issues that are connected with the black community in America. Okay? With black America. That's what we only concern as far as this election is concerned. And that's what black people should be focused with, is that concern. But you literally have people who are fighting. You have two sets of people who are fighting for which one of the slave masters they're going to put in office. And then you have a section of the population who's saying, we are strong enough, we are intelligent enough, we are financially enabled enough with unity where we don't need either one of them governing our affairs. We have the power and ability to go and do something for ourselves. Okay? So we have that going on. So shout out to Brother Nathan in the building. Always checking in from North Carolina, tapping in. And as you can see, Brother Nathan mentioned that this was self-hate, right? Self-hate that you see going on right now with Amber Rose. So wanted to speak on that, and I also wanted to show you my tweet because I tweeted this out earlier today, right here, and it says that we are witnessing a great separation. It reminds me of the scripture where it talks about the wheat and the tare and how they must be separated for there to be productive growth. That's what we see happening in Black America. All the sellouts are being separated from those who see the system for what it is and want real, tangible change and progress. This is a shift in the culture moment in history. So what did I mean by this exact statement? Oh, excuse me. What did I mean by this exact statement? Well, again, as I mentioned, what you're witnessing is a separation because you have those, whether you on the Democratic side or the Republican side, who are in bed with that system of things. Their idea, their ideology, their beliefs and attitudes that have formed their opinions are around this current system. But you are witnessing a great separation because it reminds me of the scripture where it talks about the wheat and the tare. And when wheat is growing, it grows together with a tare. But ultimately, there has to be a separation process because if the wheat stays attached to the tare, it will not grow productively for you to harvest. Well, the same way that the wheat has to separate itself from the tare so that it can grow productively, we have to now separate ourselves from those who think that there's anything in this system that will benefit us as a people. That's how we got to think. That's how we have to think. So this is what's happening in America. All the sellouts are being separated from those who see the system for what it is. So those of us who understand that this system is not broken, but this system was made and designed to work that the way that it is, and the way that you're going to get freedom, justice, and equality is this, that you install a new system and that the system that's in place be removed, be destroyed, and be torn down so that you can put a new righteous system in that place. That's the only way this thing is going to work. So the separation that we are seeing, family, is a separation between the wheat and the tare, from those who want true and free liberation and from those who are sold out on the idea that there can be a real and true black liberation, and their hopes are tied to the wagon of the Democratic and Republican Party. That's what you got going on. So you're witnessing that. You're witnessing that. So you see a group of us that are fighting over Republicans and Democrats. And then you have a group of us that are saying, if you're not willing to deal with our agenda, we don't want to have nothing to do with that situation. We're not getting in the middle of no arguments, no disagreements. You're not even worthy of our participation in this election process. So we totally are removing ourselves because that's what we are thinking. That's our thoughts. That's our mind. So the separation is taking place. Now listen to this. This right here is going to blow your mind when you see this. Because then you have the current sitting president, right? Who comes out and says this. This is going to trip you out. The current president comes out and says this. Listen to this, family.
And about his character. Folks, I know what a black job is. It's the Vice President of the United States. I know what a black job is. The first black president in American history, Barack Obama.
More pandering to black people for black votes. More pandering to black people for black votes. And that's what you're witnessing. This is what you're witnessing because we've gone through this process before. They only come and visit the black community during election cycles every 4 years because they're looking for your help, your support to get them back in office. And they come promising things that they have no power to deliver. They come promising things that they have no intention on delivering. You didn't hear me. So they come to the black community and they want to talk about black jobs now. They come to the black community and they want to get with hip hop artists and movie stars and athletes. And they want to talk about how in tune they are with the black community. They want to sit up here and be a part of black award shows. They want to get with the rappers and they want to get with the entertainers and use the lingo about being in the streets. They want to pick camelback off of Kendrick Lamar and the unifying song Not Like Us that is unifying the Crips and the Bloods, is unifying the West Coast, unifying brothers. And they want to camelback off of that and talk about using the slogan Not Like Us. So they come around every 4 years trying to get our support, but they have not delivered on anything that we need done. That's what you have going on once again. Every 4 years, they come around and they want to sing the same old song. And at this point, we're not listening to none of that. So there's a separation taking place. There's a separation taking place. So now, America. Let's deal with America and how, number one, did America get in this condition? Because a lot of people now are embarrassed to call themselves American. People are embarrassed for our country, embarrassed for those who supposed to lead, who supposed to govern. It's an embarrassment right now. People are embarrassed about this country. But how did this country get here? So, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in this monumental book called The Torchlight of America, The Torchlight of America, he talks about, this was published, I believe, in 1993. Yes, this is published in 1993. And the minister is talking about the condition of America back then. Okay? He's talking about the current condition of America back then. So what has led to the spiraling, or as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad states in this book, the fall of America? What has led to the fall of America? Well, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad lets us know that the direct result of the fall of America is America's inability to give justice to her former slaves who are here in America and help build her country. That's the root. That's why America's under divine judgment. But the minister in Torchlight of America gets into the depth, the nooks and crannies, the technicalities of some of the problems and the plagues that have hit America. So, what does the minister say? The minister in chapter 1 says that America is on her deathbed. And what does he mean? America is clearly suffering, and from my vantage point, America lies on her deathbed in dire need of guidance and a new direction. If you examine her vital signs, you will have to agree that they show America is steadily on the decline. Is the minister lying? Has America been in a steady decline? Absolutely. Absolutely. The root of her suffering is basic immorality and vanity, where greed, lust, and inordinate self-interest has become the way of life. When the desire for the realization of self self-interest becomes excessive, the first casualty in this struggle is truth. The leaders in the society, in their struggle to achieve inordinate self-interest, engage in hiding the light of truth from the American people. Let me stop right there, because that right there gives us the context in which we now understand why America is under divine chastisement. Yes, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us the spiritual aspect, but the minister is giving us the political and economic and the mindset behind why there's a divine chastisement against America at this stage in the game. Okay? So it's inordinate self-interest, it's greed, it's lust. This is what is stopping America from being the nation that she had the potential to be. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. So America is on the decline because of inordinate lust and self-interest. Okay? So let me do this real quick. I'm about to share this out, family. So as we go ahead, and all of those that are joining us tonight on Shifting the Culture podcast, I'm your host, Brother King Cam. And what I need you to do, family, if you're joining us from YouTube, I need you to hit that like button, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell so you can stay notified each and every time that we drop a video. I need my Facebook family to share and engage. I need you to let me know what city and state you checking in from, family. I need Twitter to retweet. And what I'm about to do right now is I'm about to actually post this out onto my Facebook family and to a couple of other places so that we can get as many people in here as possible. So while I'm doing that, I want you to do the same thing as well, because we want to get the people in so that we can go ahead and get this discussion moving how we want to move. Because we don't want to be long tonight, but we want to be strong. We don't want to be long, but we definitely want to be strong. All right. So, as I was saying, America and her inordinate self-interest. America and her inordinate self-interest is what got her on the decline. So the minister says at this point, when you have inordinate self-interest, and because your goal, your mindset is all wrapped in to inordinate greed and lust, then the first casualty, the minister said, is the truth. The truth is the first casualty in this war. So the minister goes on to say that the leaders in the society, in their struggle to achieve inordinate self-interest, engage in hiding the light of truth from the American people. So many of us don't need me to reel off all of the instances in which America has hidden the truth from the American people. We know that there were lies told behind 9/11. There's a whole commission that has been set up to uncover the truth of 9/11. But America hid the truth from the American people. And they blamed an attack on another group of people in order to go after their inordinate self-interest, to go after their greed, and to go after their lust. Listen. America has gone into countries and have annihilated and removed the native and indigenous people from those countries in order to pillage and to steal the mineral resources of those lands under the guise of democracy. And then they report back to American news that these countries are dictatorships, that these countries are third world countries in need of the technological advancement that America has in order to bring them up to speed with the known civilization, not uncovering the truth of why they in those countries in the first place. As we just recently seen in 2019, 2020, with the pandemic and these shots that were given emergency use authorization that was told was safe for the people, the truth is now coming out that these shots that was given to populations of the American people were not safe at all. And you have people, athletes, elderly, are suffering from side effects of these shots that the American people, that the American leadership and the government, those in health, those in science, and those in government lied to the people that said that was safe. Millions of people took these shots. Millions of people took these inoculations. Millions of people trusted the word of the United States government, and it all turned out to be lies. So the minister said the first casualty in this struggle, inordinate self-interest and greed and lust, is truth. And as we can see, truth has suffered, and the American people suffer because of the lack of transparency and honesty of the American government. Hold on. This was going on. Tap in, brother Sharif. What's happening, Black? My brother Bam tapping in. Shout out to you, good brother. Salute my brother Mark in the building. So, Brother Nathan reminded me, absolutely, the criterion. The minister put out the criterion as a warning to those of us in Black of America, as a warning to the nations of the world not to take that shot, because the minister knew that they was not being honest with us. So as he is telling us in 1993, the minister told us back in 2021 not to take that shot. 2020. Not to take that shot, family. So the minister said that the leaders in society in their struggle to achieve inordinate self-interest engage in hiding the light of truth from the American people. So what we doing, family, as you coming in, we just going down the road. I'm laying the foundation for why America is in the decline. Why you seeing the things that you seeing right now? Why is it a circus with the American government? Why is the leadership so incompetent? Why is America a joke before the nations of the world? Because America has compromised the truth for inordinate self-interest, greed, and lust. So they lie to their own people in order to do things that are wicked to try to achieve their goals. So now she's under divine chastisement. So listen to what the minister says moving forward. He says, without truth, the American people are left paralyzed, unable to constructively address their problems. So as I was talking on my Instagram story, you have a lot of mental illness, and I don't think nobody would combat me on saying this, but mental illness is running rampant in the United States of America. Mental illness is one of those problems that we have that is not decreasing, but increasing. So the minister directly addressed this and says that without the truth, the American people are left paralyzed, unable to constructively address their problems. So you have problems in America. We all agree that there are issues in America that the people cannot constructively solve because the leadership and government has hid the truth. If you would be transparent, if you would be honest, if you would be open about what's taking place, the people now have a full knowledge to be able to deal with the problems that they are being confronted with. But if they don't have the full knowledge of things, how are we going to be able to deal with those problems? And this is why you see mental illness on the rise, because you don't have the truth now. People turn to alcohol. People turn to drugs. People turn to food. People turn to sex. People turn to violence. That's what you see going on. People are committing suicide. And all of these things are on the rise, all because America has failed to tell the truth. America has failed to be honest. America has failed to do the duty of those in leadership, which is to lead the flock with truth. All right. So shout out to my brother from the East. He wants to know and hear from us at once. Brother Munakai, he in the building from Japan. Shout out to you, good brother. So now the minister said, because the people are paralyzed, we just laying the foundation for why America is declining, because I see so many people asking why America is the way it is. What's going on? Well, the minister said that the people have become paralyzed because of the lack of truth, and they don't know how to constructively deal with their problems. So he says eventually their only response will be to react destructively because their very lives are at peril's door, and they know not why they are in this condition nor how to save themselves. So what we know is inflation is on the rise. What we know is gas prices are through the roof. What we know is that groceries, what we know is rent and mortgage is on the rise. And we as people are now reacting destructively because peril is at the door. Our very lives are at peril's door, meaning what? We are in survival mode. And because these things are happening, people don't have the finances, the resources, or the means to keep a roof over their head. They don't have the finances, the resources, or the means to pay for childcare. They don't have the finances or the resources to address their basic human necessities, so we react destructively. So you see crime on the rise. This is not something that's just happening in the black community. This is happening all across America. Now, you let me know if I'm off base. Please correct me in the comment section if I'm off base. But the response now is destructive because our very lives are at peril's door, and we, the people, know not why we in this condition, nor how to save themselves. So because the government has not been honest about why inflation has occurred, because the government has not been honest on why the wages haven't gone up, why the people are suffering, why they haven't been honest about that. The people now are acting destructively because they don't know what to do. They don't know why their lives are like this and how they can get out of it. They don't know why. And it's because the government has sacrificed the truth for inordinate self-interest, greed, and lust. Talk to me. So the minister said the country could be facing revolution. The minister said this in 1993. The country could be facing revolution because the government and leadership has hidden the truth and will not or does not have a solution for the suffering and the root problems of the people of this country. The government does not or will not have a solution to the suffering and the root problems of the people of this country. That's it. They either don't want to give you a solution or they have no solution for you and me. So when that's the case, then we got to make our own solution. We got to make our own solution. So the minister goes on to say that gross vanity, greed, lust, and inordinate self-interest have divided the country along lines of class, race, and sex. Now, the minister talking about this in 93. It's 2024. When you look at the news and when you look at your social media feed, tell me what you hear all day. You hear how the country has been divided along the lines of class, race, and sex. You got gender wars taking place, heavy in the black community where you got the black man pitted against the black woman. Then you have the country divided along the lines of sex on a whole, where you talk about the misogyny of men and the opportunities that either exist or don't exist for men and women in this country. Then you hear how race is playing a part. Then you hear how the country is divided by class, and the only classes is the rich and the poor, the have or the have-nots. There is no more middle class. It's been completely destroyed. Tell me that you don't hear this today in 2024. Who and what was the minister speaking into in 1993? Who and what was the minister speaking into in 1993 when he said that gross vanity and greed and lust have divided the country along the lines of class, race, and sex? Because that's all we hear about today. That's all we hear about today. They call it gender politics. And everything is about men versus women, or women versus men. So you have on the left where they're saying, well, women can do just as good a job or a better job in the same roles that men are in. So we have to give the women more jobs. And then on the right, or the conservative, you have roles. These are gender specific roles for women, and these are gender specific roles for men. So you have the country divided on that issue. Then you have on one side the traditional family, and the other side you want to create your own idea of what family is. You want to now start to begin to play with the creation of Almighty God that made two, male and female, and you want to start flip-flopping the roles. So now you have the country divided on gender, country divided on male and female. Then you have the country divided on race, because we know the history of race in this country. And some people like to say, well, why do you got to make everything about race? We're not the ones that made it about race. We didn't develop white supremacy. We didn't have a system that segregated black people from white people. Black people didn't enslave another race of people. We were not the ones that created race. So don't come and talk to us about making everything about race when those who made everything about race are the ones you should be addressing that question to. Don't come and talk to us about that. Don't come and talk to us about that. Huh? So these is what we have. So the minister says that we live in one country with two realities. Separate and unequal. One rich, one poor, one white, one black, one predator, one prey, one skilled, one non-skilled, one slave master, and one slave. This is the reality. This is the real reality. Now, if you want to just talk, let's be real. That's the reality of America in 2024. The minister was speaking on this in 1993. This is the same thing we're dealing with today. Black, white, rich, poor, equal, unequal, predator, prey, skilled, unskilled, slave, slave master. That's what we're still dealing with today. That's what we're dealing with. Two realities that exist. And then they want to come before you every 4 years and act like that's not the case. You've been in hell 4 years. Then they come to you and after those 4 years and tell you that you haven't been in hell, as if you don't know what you've been through. As if you don't know what you've seen. As if you don't know what your reality is. Now, is this the reality for all black people? No. You got some black people that's well off. So they don't feel inflation. They're not feeling the international implications for what's taking place with international policy. You got people that's doing okay. So they're not feeling it per se. But then you got those who are feeling it and have a different reality. But you come to those same group of people. You come to the same group of people. Because they really don't come and sit down and talk to well-off black people. Wise, well-off black people don't really got much to say to these political institutions if they're not bringing anything to the table. Not too much. Now, you got some of them who've been bought and paid for. But you got those who's like, listen, we're not having these conversations if you're not bringing nothing to the table. But it's always that hard-working, so-called middle-class, blue-collar worker that they come to every 4 years with the same spiel. trying to get you to support them when they haven't supported you. They come to us every 4 years trying to get you to support them when they haven't supported us. So the minister says that classism, racism, and sexism are used to keep the people divided. And these three evils threaten to sink and destroy the entire country. America must deal effectively with these lines of division or face anarchy and revolution. So if you don't get rid of classism, racism, and sexism, then America is going to be and face revolution and anarchy. Because how long do you expect the people to have to deal with this? How long do you expect the people to suffer? How long do you expect somebody to be in this type of condition without them rising up? Rising up. So what you see now is a rise. Remember we was talking about the separation that I was seeing? And when I was discussing what Amber Rose was talking about and what Joy-Ann Reid and Simone Sanders and Amanda Seales and Stephen A. Smith, some of those people saying, and then you got people like myself who are saying that we're not participating in none of this chicanery. I like that, right? We're not participating in none of this foolishness because we see and understand this system for what it is. We see and understand this government for what it is. We see and understand this ruling class of people for what it is. And we know what our power is as a people. We know our history. We know whom we belong to. We know through the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that we are direct descendants of God himself. We know that we can do something for ourselves. So why sit around and pander and beg our former slave masters, children, and the enemy to do something for us what we have the power to do for ourselves? Why sit around and do that? Why to continue to waste time doing that? If they're going to give you something, they're going to give you something. But in the meantime, be found building something on your own. Our buying power makes us, I believe, the 9th or the 12th richest nation of people. It's 50 million people, black people in America. 50 million of us. Now, all of us ain't going to be on the same accord. All of us not going to be aligned, if you will. But 50 million people and you don't have nothing to show for it, but you spend all your time begging and pleading to be a part of a system that has not given you anything tangible. They give you a right to vote. They give you a couple of millionaires. They'll throw you a TV show. They'll throw you a record deal. They'll give you a basketball in a contract, a football in a contract. But they haven't given you anything that allows you to build wealth. They haven't put you on the same playing field as themselves. And you still want to fight for that? Huh? Talk to me now. You still want to fight for that? That's worthy of your blood, sweat, and tears? When black people have fought and died for this country, not only were we kidnapped and made slaves and built the country, but after we were freed, we fought, died, and bled for the country that we had no equity in. We fought, bled, and died that we had no equity. Now, we do have sweat equity, but we don't have no equity that we have tangible for us because they took it away. They took it away. After slavery, so-called slavery, after so-called the Emancipation Proclamation, we had our own cities and towns. We had land. And we was able to build ourselves up where we was completely self-sustained. We had our own cities and towns with our own industry, with our own thing going on. And they saw how we was able to close the gap, how productive we were, and how now we become competition in their minds to them. So guess what? They come and destroy the whole thing. But it's because we was missing one key element, and that's because we didn't understand back then that business is warfare. We didn't understand that back then. So we built business and infrastructure, but we didn't build anything to protect it. And in this world, if you build in business and infrastructure and you got motion, you got productivity, you got progressive movement, you got motion, Hey, somebody coming to try to stop your motion. Somebody coming to try to stop your motion. So we didn't understand that back then. So listen, the minister said that a mere 54% of those eligible to vote actually bothered to participate in the 1992 presidential election. As I mentioned, the minister said this in 1993. And for those who are just tuning in, family, I'm your host, Brother King Cam. This is Shifting the Culture podcast, and we're going and reading straight out of the minister's book, A Torchlight for America. Okay? And we are dealing with the current mind state of America and what's going on. What's she dealing with? And we just laying the foundation right now for why she's in the condition that she's in, why she's declining. So in 1993, the minister published this book. So he referenced the 1992 election, and he said that only 54% of the eligible to vote actually bothered to participate. So he goes on to say that this is a sign on which the wise should reflect. If the greatest political system is democracy and the right to choose leadership, and if only half of the people are participating in this democracy, then the people are demonstrating their gross dissatisfaction with their own leadership in government. This dissatisfaction must bring about a change. The question becomes, who will bring about the change? Who will offer solutions to the problems faced by the people, and what kind of change will there be? That's a good question, because clearly the government is not able to answer those questions. Clearly the government is not able to offer the solutions to the problems, because every time you listen to the government give you a quote unquote solution to the problem, it's the same old thing. It's wrapped up in some government funded program that hasn't produced any results. You got plenty of government funded programs that's supposed to produce a particular or desired result. But what is that desired result? For black people, it should signal progress. For black people, it should lead to some transformative occurrences, some transformative change. But clearly, based on the results, as long as we've had these government programs in place, where's the transformative change? And if you can't show transformative change, that means the solution is ineffective. It means the solution is ineffective. So we've given the politicians opportunity to fix this. We've given the sociologists of this world opportunity to fix this. The scientists, the doctors, the lawyers of this world to fix this. And they haven't produced a transformative change. So why are we still relying on their wisdom to bring about change? Why? So, what was that? Okay. So the minister asked these questions. Who will offer solutions to the problems faced by the people, and what kind of change will there be? So he goes on to say, how will you deal with the solution, a divine solution, a torchlight, if it is not carried by someone of your own class, sex, faith, color, party, or nationality? This is a good question, because how do we act when we got a party affiliation? If I say I'm a Democrat, how do we act when a Republican brings forth a solution or an idea? Same thing on the Republican side. How do we act if I'm a Republican when a Democrat brings forth an idea? How do we act if a poor person brings a rich person an idea? How do we act if a woman brings forth a solution versus a man? How do we act if a Muslim brings forth a solution and he's not a Christian? Or how do we act if a Catholic or a Jew brings forth a solution and he's not Muslim? How do we act? The minister's asking, how do you deal with a solution, a divine solution, a torchlight, if it's not carried by someone of your own class, sex, faith, color, party, or nationality? You know, you hear some of the Hebrew Israelite brothers, they sit up there and act like they can't work with nobody unless you confess that you are a Hebrew Israelite and you in one of their camps. The Moore Science Temple brothers act like that they can't work with you unless you confess that you are more, or that you go and use the same terminology that they use. Some Muslims act like that they can't work with Muslims that have a different idea of Islam. Christians been beefing. That's why they got the Church of God in Christ, and they got the Holiness Temple and the Baptist Temple and First Baptist, Second Baptist, Third Baptist, the Catholics over here, the Jehovah's Witnesses over here. Christians been beefing. So what are we doing? What are we doing? So the minister said, how will you deal with a solution when it comes from a source you least expect? Would you cast the solution aside or seek to destroy the bearer of the solution? Or would you thank God for giving you an answer to your problems and your prayers? It's a good question. Think about it. Think about it. So the minister's talking about how the hiding of the truth has snowballed into this current state of affairs that we have in America. See? So the minister says this, that the Bible states that no man, when he hath lighted a candle, put it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see the light. This is Luke chapter 11, verse 33. It is the purpose of the wickedly wise to hide the truth so that people won't see a way to get themselves out of their present circumstances, so those who rule can continue to dominate and subjugate the people to feed their own lust and greed. And this is what we are dealing with today, family. Those wickedly wise individuals who have been running this machine called the United States of America have purposely hid the truth from the masses of the people, because that's how they stay in power. And in order for them to continue to rule and dominate and subjugate the people to feed their own lust and greed, they have to keep you out of the light of truth. So when one comes to give you truth, you will shun that person from trying to share with you the truth that actually will set you free. And this is the battle that we're facing right now. This is the battle that we're facing right now. So what we are witnessing in that separation of the wheat and the tare, of the separation of the two mindsets, of the dawning of the death of an old mindset and the rising of a new mindset that wants true and real freedom, justice, and equality and liberation. You're witnessing the resurrection of the people, the rise of a mentally dead people rising to a level of consciousness that has never been seen before. The people are coming into the light, the truth now. And because the truth is now present, the ones that used to dominate, rule, and subjugate can no longer do that. And because that's taking place, you see the chaos and the confusion among the ruling class of people. Come on. Come on. Yeah, we cooking and we got to get ready to go. I didn't even realize we've been up here for 53 minutes. We've been almost up here an hour, family. So we're going to have to get ready to shut down shortly. So those who are just tuning in, I'm your host, Brother King Cam. This is Shifting the Culture Podcast. And tonight we are dealing with the current affairs of America. And does she have a solution for it? Does she have a solution for what's been taking place? We've been witnessing the chaos that has been going on in this country, I would dare say, since 2016. It started to ramp up in 2016. And it has been a downward spiral from here on out. And we just been watching it play out on the world stage. So why is it this way? Because people are trying to figure out why. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said the fall of America is because America refuses to give justice to a former slave. And the minister goes into that and gives us the why. Why do they fail to give justice to the former slave? And that's because America's more concerned with her inordinate and excessive greed, lust, and desire for self-interest that she can give a damn about giving justice to her former slave. It's all about being able to achieve her goal with her self-interest. Huh? That's what's happening. So this is why America's in the condition that she's in. That's why you see the downward spiral. Huh? So now, the minister says this. I submit to you that this is a dangerous time to play with the people in their earnest desire for liberty. I'm going to say that again. The minister said, I submit to you that this is a dangerous time to play with the people in their earnest desire for liberty. It's a dangerous time to play with people whose hunger and thirst is for justice and truth. Come on. Did you hear that? The minister said it's dangerous to play when you got people who are honestly and earnestly looking for justice and truth. When people have a earnest desire for liberty, and you gonna play with that? You gonna play with the people? These people gonna come in front of you and play in your face. That's a dangerous thing to do because the people will rise up. And there's nothing that you can do about that. The people are rising up and there's nothing that they can do about it. This is why they try to put all of those controls and regulations, and they try to and have reeled in the big tech companies into the conspiracy of the government to help suppress the voice of the people and to curate content, knowledge, and ideas to the masses. So what do I mean? I mean, the big companies, tech companies, are complicit in feeding you misinformation. And then they suppress and remove and silence those who speak in truth. Why? Because the ruling class ability to rule and to dominate and to stay on top is solely based on their ability to hide truth from you. Come on. Come on. Y'all been seeing it. Y'all know it. We watched it live. We seen people be silenced. We seen people being removed off of social media. We see people accounts been taken. You've been banned. The minister's been banned lifetime from Facebook, lifetime from Instagram. Other people who have had their accounts removed and locked off of social media. People who have been shadow banned. People who have been silenced. When in the height of the pandemic, there were doctors and scientists, epidemiologists, activists who were talking about and putting the truth out on social media about those vaccine shots to the people. And they silenced those people. Why? Because they got to hide the truth. This is how they continue to rule, because they have to hide the truth. So the minister said it's a dangerous time to play with that because people are not going to allow you to keep playing in their face. When people starving, they're going to do whatever it takes to eat. People want to be free, they'll do whatever it is to get freedom. So the minister says, like Moses and Aaron were unto Pharaoh, I humbly state that I am here as a student and a helper of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to tell the truth. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been among us, giving us that truth that will set us free. That truth that'll open our eyes. The truth that's going to make the dumb speak and the deaf hear. It's going to make the lame walk. See? We haven't been able to walk because we didn't have the truth. We wasn't able to see the enemy for who he was because we didn't have the truth. So in the Bible, it says that Jesus had some spittle in his hand. He gave it to the blind man and he rubbed it on his eyes, and the blind man wasn't able to see men for who they were. But once he got the spittle of truth on his eyes, the blind man was able to see the men for who they were. He was able to see what was going on now. And the minister was giving us that same spittle so that we are able to see this government for who they are, our open enemy for who they are. And now we able to deal with them accordingly. Huh? Listen. So the minister says that let's take a quick look at the vital signs of America. I'm closing on this from our perspective. The minister goes into the vital signs. So he says this, the health of the economy. Now the minister about to get to the nitty gritty right here. The health of the economy, the standard of living of the American people, our lifestyles, and the development of the people are all in a state of decline. America's economy has been severely crippled for the long term, and at present, the U.S. economy is in a state of grave despair. This was in 93, the minister was talking about. And this is where we are today in 2024. So he goes on to say that the federal debt, which is basically the cumulative sum of each year's budget deficits, is now more than $4 trillion. The current budget for federal spending is $1.5 trillion. But the government collects just over $1 trillion in taxes. This means that America is running a budget deficit of nearly $500 billion, 5 times larger than the deficit of a decade ago when Mr. Ronald Reagan became the president. Now, let's go and see what the national debt is today. Let's take a look at the national debt today in America, because this is important. So the national debt today is $34.91 trillion. That's the national debt. In 93, the debt was $4 trillion. In 2024, the debt has now ballooned to $34 trillion in debt. Now, what does that mean? Listen to this now. $34 trillion in debt. Now, check this out. The interest to service, well, you know what? Before I go there, let's go back. $34 trillion in debt. So in 93, it was $4 trillion. Now, it's ballooned to $34 trillion. So anybody that know anything about business, that's not a good, you're not headed in the right direction. You went from $4 trillion in debt to $34 trillion in debt. That's not a good direction to be going in business wise. Okay. So the minister now goes on to say that the interest alone in servicing the federal debt soared to $288 billion in 1991, nearly 1/3 of what America collects in taxes. Now, what does this mean? If the level of tax revenue remains constant and the level of federal debt is not cut, then at the end of President Clinton's 4 years, the interest alone on the federal debt could eat up all of what the government collects in taxes, rendering the country bankrupt in terms of having revenue to finance the government's provision of services to the American people. Now, I want to bring you to this. I want to bring you right here to what we was about to discuss with the servicing of the debt. Because the minister said that at that time, with the interest being $288 billion, which the amount of taxes that we collected and in America at that time was only 1/3 of the interest. That if the tax revenue remained the same and the national debt was not cut, that the interest alone on the federal debt would eat up all of what the government collects in taxes, rendering the country bankrupt. So how does that affect us in 2024, where our debt now has ballooned to $34 trillion? It says that the interest to service the U.S. national debt is a growing cost that's projected to reach record levels in 2024. In 2023, the federal government spent $658 billion in interest costs. You didn't hear what I said. I said that in 2023, the federal government spent $658 billion in interest costs. In 1991, it was $288 billion. In 2023, it's $658 billion, which was 2.4% of the gross domestic product. In 2024, the Congressional Budget Office projects that interest payments will total $870 billion, which is 3.1% of the GDP. This is more than the $822 billion the U.S. is expected to spend on defense in 2024. The CBO also projects that interest will continue to rise rapidly over the next decade. So let's tie this thing together. Let's tie it together. Because now, look at this now. It says that the U.S. Treasury pays interest on the national debt to individuals, businesses, pension, and mutual funds, state and local governments, and foreign entities. So the question that we should be asking ourselves is, who is these individuals? Who are these individuals? But more importantly as well, it says that the debt held by the public is money that the U.S. has borrowed from outside lenders through financial markets. A large national debt can crowd out investments in important areas like health, education, infrastructure, and innovation. Okay, so look, I'm coming back to you right now. Now, the minister said in 1993 that in 91, the interest alone on the $4 billion debt was $4 trillion debt was $288 billion. Now, fast forward to 2024, the interest on the $34 trillion debt is $658 billion. So based on what the minister said in 93, that if the interest continued the way that it's going, at the level that it's going, and the tax revenue continues on the way that it's going, that the interest would eat up. The interest would eat up all of the government collects in taxes, rendering the country bankrupt in terms of having revenue to finance the government's provision of services to the American people. So the United States of America today is bankrupt. The United States of America today is bankrupt. She's bankrupt. Because the interest that she owes to these outside lenders through financial markets exceeds the amount of tax revenue that's brought in by the American people. Huh? That's the current condition of America economically. So, as it states here on Google, that a large national debt can crowd out investments. So the minister, investments like important areas like health, education, infrastructure, and innovation. So the minister said that when the company is bankrupt, they won't have revenue to finance government's provisions of services to the American people. So what does that mean? That means that because of the national debt, it's going to now begin to remove things like healthcare, things like education, because there's no money to fund these things on the government level. Infrastructure gone. Why? Because the country bankrupt. And they're going to spend whatever money that they have, instead of servicing the interest, they're going to spend it on defense. They're going to spend it on defense. It already says that they have $658 billion in interest costs, right? And it projects that the interest will total $870 billion in 2024. But guess what America gonna do? Instead of trying to cut the national debt, she gonna spend $822 billion on defense in 2024. If you bankrupt, how will you got $822 billion when you got a interest bill that's $870 billion? Talk to me. This is what the minister was saying about the inordinate self-interest. This is irresponsible leadership. If you was running a business in this fashion, you'd be out of business. If any company operated the way the United States of America was operating, they would be out of business. You wouldn't have a business. It'd be over with. You wouldn't have no employees. You wouldn't have no building. You wouldn't have no product, because you can't pay nobody. The only thing that keeps America afloat is the fact that she's able to print her own money, not because she actually has assets. Huh? She don't have nothing that anybody want. She don't have anything that anybody want. That's why a lot of countries have blocked the export of American goods. Let's see. Let's see, because y'all don't believe me. Y'all don't believe me. Huh? Which countries have blocked the exports from America? Yep. From America. She don't have nothing that she can give. She don't have silver. She don't have gold. So it's nothing that people want now. There's nothing that people want from America. Are restricted in the U.S. Let's see. They got the nerve to put sanctions on other people. They got the nerve to put sanctions on other people. Oh boy. I hope y'all tapping in, family. I hope y'all tapping in, because this is why America is the way that she is. In the shape that she in. This is why she in the shape that she in. Right here. Let's see, bro. I'm trying to find countries that denied America, boy. Cause they got all the list of the countries that America denied. Okay, see, man, the beautiful thing about the AI, boy, it's gonna get you. It's gonna get you right. Yeah, see? Okay, boom. I know what to do, because I think it was I think this is one of them. Let me see. I know what to type in. Hold on, because I'm about to bring this up for y'all. There we go. Boom. So right here, it has a bunch of foods that have been banned in other countries that the U.S. still sells in stores. So you got countries that have banned food from America. They don't have nothing that people want. America don't have nothing to give. They don't have nothing to give that other countries want. We don't have gold. We don't have silver. We don't have anything of value that people want. That's why America, with her foreign policy, is in everybody else's backyard. Because she's searching for something. See, if you got something, you're not snooping around. But the fact that she's snooping around shows you she don't have nothing and she needs stuff from everybody else. So you have foods that are banned in other countries. So America can't send her food other places because people don't want them. So you got the farm-raised salmon that's banned in Australia and New Zealand because it says salmon containing a product or a chemical called petrochemical. See? Dairy with RBST or RBGH hormones like milk. And see, they lie to you about milk. They tell you that you shouldn't be drinking milk. When, you should not. And that's true, because you shouldn't be drinking this milk in the United States of America because the hormones that they put into the milk that's in the United States, that's in these major chain grocery stores. Where you get your milk from is from your local farmers markets and from your farms. You go to a farmer who has grass-fed cows, open-range chickens, and you're able to get your milk and things like that. See? Hold on, got a pop-up over here. But these are some of the foods that's banned. See, Canada and European Union, they done banned that. Mountain Dew. Look at that. And some of y'all drink Mountain Dew today. They banned that. Chicken that's been chlorinated. Chicken produced in the United States get washed in chlorine to reduce its risk of spreading diseases and illness like salmonella. This practice is banned in the United Kingdom and the European Union because it promotes unsanitary farming practices. See? And we can just go on down the road. Little Debbie sweet rolls. Some of y'all had Little Debbie's today. Some of y'all have Frosted Flakes and Honey Bunches of Oats and Rice Krispie Treats today. See, these foods contain BHT, a flavor enhancer, which has long been studied for its potential carcinogenic properties. These things is creating cancer. Frosted Flakes creating cancer. Coffee Mate. All these different things. America don't have nothing that they can give to nobody else. She don't have nothing of value to give to anybody else. So she always trying to steal something. And that's why she all in these other countries under her foreign policy. We getting out of here now. I'm rolling out now. But America's bankrupt. America's bankrupt. And we done laid it out right here. Why? Not even why America's, well, we laid out why America's bankrupt, and now we just laid out the facts for you. We laid out the facts. So now we just got to now ask ourselves about the solution. How are we able to even escape what's happening? So the minister, let's see, because the minister broke this thing down. The minister said this right here. We about to get up out of here, family. Thank you all for staying with your brother for this time. We closing right now. So the minister said that in Harry E. Figge Jr.'s book Bankruptcy in 1995, he forewarns this very scenario. He projects that President Clinton's budget deficit could exceed $3 trillion by the end of 1996, bringing the total federal debt to more than $7 trillion, which would make interest payments to service the debt equal to the country's tax revenue. So back in the 90s, they hadn't exceeded the tax revenue, but they was on their way. Now in 24, they have exceeded the tax revenue, and the interest now exceeds that, meaning the country is completely bankrupt. The country is completely bankrupt. So what does that mean? Because you got people sitting online and sitting in their homes and debating with people in public forums about investing energy into a system that is completely bankrupt, that screams immoral and gross mishandling and incompetence in leadership. Because you got 435 representatives in the House. You have 100 senators. And together, these 535 individuals represent Congress. And they have no competency. They have no competency to be able to lead and govern the people in a way out of debt. All of these people who went to Princeton and to Harvard and to Yale Business School and to law school, they don't have the wherewithal and the capabilities to govern a country out of debt and in a upward and a positive trajectory towards health and wealth for all. No, because they've allowed inordinate self-interest and greed to govern their decisions. They don't give a damn about the people. That's why they put the people in debt. Why? Because they fatten in their pockets. They don't give a damn about the interest superseding the tax revenue, because they're going to tax you so that you can help with the tax revenue. But ultimately, it's not making a dent in the interest of the money that they owe to these outside entities. So they're making you suffer. In the meanwhile, they fatten in their own pockets because they have their own greed, lust, and self-interest at the core of it. And they're using sexism and classism and materialism as a way to keep the country divided. What's happening, Jack? What's happening, Jack? Hey, it's just the reality of it. Now, you can sit up here and be disgusted about what this candidate says, what this candidate not saying, what he doing, what he not doing. But this is just the reality. So this is what black people need to be thinking about. You need to be figuring out how you going to do something for yourself. You want these people to govern you another 4 years? You want these people to be in charge of policy? You want these people to be the ones that's putting things in place in order for your children and your children's children and the next generation of people? You want these people to do that? You want this mindset, this ideology to be the leadership? You want these people to be the governor over your affairs? This what you spending your energy on? This what you wasting your time with? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We got to wake up. It's the rise. It's the rise of the dead. Resurrection of the dead, family. So look, let's get on up out of here on this. Because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about this, right? He talked about this. Let's go, brother. Let's go. Okay? Is this? No, this ain't it. This ain't it. Hold on, family. Here we go. Listen to this. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Fall of America, chapter 9, page 39, the rise of the dead does not by any means mean that what you and I were taught when we were little boys and little girls. And while we are little boys and little girls in man and woman age, we are still pushed on a baby side for understanding of the truth. We, the black people, are no longer babies. We are babies to no one except God himself. You are fast learning that you are not babies anymore, but on your rise up from the dead knowledge of self and others. You are learning fast that Allah God is fast creating us in a new way of thinking, for the way in which we had been thinking was in a way of untruth, an unseemly way of understanding. America is a country where evil is dominant and the people in America think nothing but evil. It is very seldom that you can talk to a person without getting the thought quickly that their mind is filled with evil. We, the black people in America, are called the dead spiritually. And we, the black people in America, now desire to make for ourselves something better than what the slave master's children have made of us. We want to make something better of ourselves than what the slave master children still does make for us, of us. Huh? So listen, we want something better than what the Democratic Party has to offer us. We want something better than what the Republican Party wants to offer us. We want something better than what the slave master children have set up for us. We're no longer babies. We don't have to depend on the government to give you education when you can teach your own children. We don't have to depend on the government to give us houses and homes and affordable homes when you have the ability to build your own homes. When we have black builders and black contractors that can build our own homes, we don't have to depend on the government to keep us healthy. When we have guidelines and books and we have understanding from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad on how to eat to live, we don't need the government for that. We're not a baby anymore. We have gone to all of their fine institutions and received their fine education. So you don't need them to govern yourselves. You can govern your own self. You can do something for yourself because you're not a baby anymore. And you have to get out of that mindset. You have to release that mindset. You have to let that go. Some of us, we struggling with letting that go. This is why we fighting to try to hold on to Biden. This is why we fighting to hold on to the old ways of the Democratic Party. This is why we fighting to hold on to the Republican ideology that's ran by white supremacists and ran by white supremacists on the Democratic side. We fighting and struggling with ourselves because we are in transition from being babies into being grown people, to being a grown nation. And when you become a grown nation, that means you got to go for yourself. You got to do your own thing. So we got to stop depending on them to do stuff for us that we can do for ourselves. We got to start talking to them like we equals and that we not subjugated to them. This is not a slave and master relationship no more. We got to start talking to them as equals. Meaning we don't go to them asking, we go to them demanding. That's the mindset that we have to have. So as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we're not babies anymore. Got to get out of that mindset. You got to stop thinking like that. You got to do something for yourself. So we sitting up here, oh, I'm afraid of Project 25. I'm afraid of this. Afraid of what? It's nothing that they can do to you that they haven't already done to you. What you should be saying to yourself is, okay, how we coming and what we getting out of any of this? If you're not giving us anything so we can do for ourselves, we're going to go and continue to do for ourselves and let y'all duke it out. See, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we, the black people in America, are called dead spiritually, and we, the black people in America, now desire to make for ourselves something better than what the slave master children have made us. So we don't want what you serving no more. We don't want any of that. We don't want any. We don't want anything without substance. We don't want symbols without substance. We don't want anything tangible. If it's not tangible, we don't want it. We don't want any symbols without substance. Time out for all of that. No longer are you going to be able to give us some symbolic gestures of freedom, justice, and equality. Nope, we want the real thing. The dead are rising. The resurrection of the dead is happening right now. And that's what you're witnessing. The birth of a new mindset. And we're not just listening and taking anything, family. So as we go on and move on, start thinking. We got to think independence. We can't be afraid. There's nothing wrong with being afraid, but you can't stay afraid. See? The scripture said that God would come. And we say in church, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So who is your Christ? Because if you got Christ and you scared, you got the wrong Christ. That Christ must not have no power. You can't tell me you a believer or a follower in Jesus and you afraid of Project 25. That don't go together, because the Christ I know, the Christ that I serve, that Christ got power to crush the wicked. That Christ gives me power and strengthens me. That Christ gives me faith of a mustard seed that I can go to the mountain and say, be ye removed. That's the Christ I'm with. And that's the kind of strength that we got to have. That's the kind of mentality that we have to have, because it's a new day. So those of you who want to hang on to the old, you can hang on, but it's going on out. The Holy Quran said every nation has a term, and you cannot last the least while, or exceed it. You have a fixed term. And that's what you see happening today. And what we have to do, family, is we have to get into the mindset of doing something for ourselves, family. So I thank you all for listening. I appreciate you for tuning in tonight, tapping in, hanging out with your brother. And may Allah continue to bless you with the light of understanding. Make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms. Make sure that you follow the podcast. And man, share this out to somebody who could benefit from it if we gave anything of value. All right? So I leave you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting